Look at almost any decentralized AI project today, and you will find a massive gap between the marketing material and the actual product. You are promised censorship-resistant, autonomous agents, but when you try to run a prompt, the infrastructure collapses under the weight of its own complexity. Venice AI operates entirely outside that norm. Right now, it is the most functionally viable private AI platform available to consumers. You can open a browser, type a prompt, and get an uncensored response from open-source models like Llama or DeepSeek without creating an account or handing over an email address. The trade-off for that seamless experience is architectural friction. Venice routes your request through a centralized proxy server. It strips away your identifying data, then forwards the raw text to a distributed network of GPU providers. Because a single company controls that routing choke point, Venice scores a 57 out of 100 on our freedom scale, earning a C grade. However, its economic mechanics pushes its return score up to a 68 out of 100, landing a solid B. To understand if those scores make sense for your specific situation, we need to evaluate this platform from 3 distinct angles: the consumer looking for privacy, the developer seeking reliable API rails, and the investor assessing the tokenomics. A product that relies on centralized usability inherently caps its own decentralization metrics. You are trading ideological purity for a product that actually works today. The company behind that product is entirely self-funded by its founder, Eric Voorhees. There was no pre-sale, no ICO, and absolutely zero venture capital allocation at launch. It is operated by a team of roughly 6 people. Despite documentation mentioning token-weighted voting, there is no deployed on-chain governance interface, no snapshot, and no DAO structure. Every significant operational change, including the launch of new mechanics and 5 separate emission reductions, has been decided unilaterally by that small team. You also have to factor in single founder risk. Voorhees is the sole funder and primary decision-maker, and he has 2 separate SEC settlements on his record from previous crypto ventures. If regulatory pressure forces a pivot, the entire platform's trajectory rests on his shoulders. Venice utilizes decentralized infrastructure to process compute, but you must evaluate it as a centralized Web 2 company operating on Web 3 rails. For the consumer, the value proposition relies on 4 distinct privacy tiers. By default, the free, anonymous, and private modes strip your IP address and session data before sending your prompt to the GPU provider. The GPU provider sees the raw prompt, but they don't know it came from you. The vulnerability here is that the centralized proxy executing this routing is closed source. There is no independent privacy audit, meaning you are entirely relying on the company's promise to delete your data. To move past trust and get verifiable guarantees, upgrade to the Pro tier at $18 a month. This unlocks TEE and E2EE modes. End-to-End Encryption, or E2EE, encrypts your prompt locally on your device. It stays encrypted as it travels through Venice's proxy and is only decrypted inside a secure, hardware-isolated enclave operated by independent networks like Phala or NEAR. Securing data at that level requires sacrifices. Running E2EE disables web search, removes conversation memory, and noticeably slows down response times. The $18 monthly cost and the performance hit are justified only if you handle sensitive medical, legal, or proprietary data that demands hardware-attested cryptographic guarantees instead of a company's verbal promise. If you are a developer building autonomous agents, your primary friction point is cost. You need an OpenAI-compatible API, but paying variable fiat costs per request can quickly drain your runway overnight. Venice uses a token utility loop. Stake the VVV token for staked VVV, or SVVV. Lock SVVV in an escrow vault to mint DIEM. Each DIEM gives $1 a day of perpetual API credit. When done, burn DIEM to unlock your original SVVV. Developers are actively utilizing this mechanism. Over 8.26 million VVV is currently locked in escrow, pushing the active supply past the target curve and making minting noticeably more expensive than it was at launch. If holding price exposure to a volatile crypto asset violates your business model, Venice recently added an X402 payment rail, allowing you to pay per request directly in USDC on the base network. Because the DIEM mechanism is a liquidity lock rather than a sunk fiat cost, developers who handle token exposure get the most capital-efficient API model in the decentralized AI sector. For the investor evaluating VVV, the tokenomics start from a strong baseline. The Genesis supply was airdropped, and when 32.6 million tokens went unclaimed, the team permanently burned them instead of keeping the reserves. This chart illustrates Venice's supply tightening. Annual emissions dropped from 14 million to 6 million. Concurrently, fiat-funded monthly buyback burns climbed, peaking at roughly $123,000 in April 2026. Combined with the airdrop burn, 33.7 million VVV, over 42% of effective supply, is permanently removed. The primary red flag for anyone holding this token is the company operations allocation. 25% of the Genesis supply sits with the company, and there is absolutely no published on-chain vesting schedule restricting when they can sell it. The deflationary metrics are exceptionally strong, but you have to weigh that aggressive supply reduction directly against the risk of the company's unlocked reserves. There is a structural risk to operating this platform that applies to all users. Venice provides Uncensored AI, which simply means they remove corporate safety guardrails. They still block clearly illegal content at the platform level, but the models respond based purely on their training. Security researchers can discuss vulnerabilities openly, and creative writers can explore mature themes without refusal. However, cybersecurity publications have actively flagged Venice as a tool used to generate malware. That lack of censorship attracts regulatory blowback. The platform's free tier is already blocked in the United Kingdom under the Financial Services and Markets Act. Providing open-weight models without editorial filtering is Venice's greatest product differentiator, and simultaneously its highest existential threat from government regulators. Venice is highly usable specifically because it accepts the friction of centralized routing. In exchange for that centralization, it delivers genuine utility right now. For the consumer, upgrade to Pro only if you require verified, hardware-attested data sovereignty. You will sacrifice speed and web search to get it. For the developer, utilize the DIEM loop to convert variable API costs into a recoverable liquidity lock. If volatile tokens are a deal breaker, use USDC. For the investor, VVV tokenomics score highly on deflationary pressure and organic utility, but if you require a true DAO, this is not your asset. Before you lock up any capital, verify the live DIEM minting rates and the latest circulating supply metrics on the Own Your Mind dashboard.